All right, hey, what's going on, my friends? Good morning. This is your boy Turgon, the Wise, coming at you with a new video this morning. Hopefully, this will be the last time you see this screen for a while, as we are preparing to head into our sixth season. We will not be playing the season six campaign, um, Rings of Power. Is that what it's called? Kings of Men, Rings of Power. Yep, we're not doing this one. We're going back and playing the S5 campaign over again. Tactics has evolved. Very excited for this season. It was a very, for lack of a better term, dramatic registration period for this campaign. We were under the assumption that there was only going to be one server, or we thought there was only going to be one server. And now, after the registration period has ended, through talking with other teams, we have discovered there is actually two servers. So we're excited for that. We have 1.5 teams signed up, a full team led by the wonderful Diana S here. Let me show you the teams list for the campaign. Well, I'm with Diana S here, and we also have our friend Leon with 56 signed up, and we are going to be on the same server. We're very excited about that. Should be a great team. We're really looking forward to working with these folks as the core of our team from last season, Serve, has merged with the other team, which was formerly known as BFLR, and now we will be known as NGUP. Never gonna give you up. Uh, we never give up. That's our motto, and it should be a really exciting season. Had a lot of drama during this registration period. There was a giant mega team called KSC that was trying to bully us out of playing Gondor. They had 5 fellowships with them. One thing that should be noted, this teams list is only the teams that allow themselves to be seen. You can apparently toggle your team to be set to a private mode so that you don't appear in that list at any given point in time. So you're only seeing a limited picture when it comes to what teams and how many people per team have signed up based upon whether or not the leader of the team has set their profile to public versus private. Interesting stuff. Learned a lot of good things. That KSC team eventually either unregistered or has registered as private so that we can't see them. But there is 2 servers, so some of them may be on our server, some of them may be on the other server. They may all be on the other server. They may be all on our server. We're just going to have to wait and see. The season is going to be starting in about, yeah, you can see the timer up there on the top left-hand side of the screen, 16 hours and 41 minutes from now, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is my time, or 0800 UTC time. So we're very excited for the upcoming season. We'll be playing Gondor. I have never played Gondor. I'm excited to play against Gondor, to test the Swan Knight, the T4 of Gondor. Should be an exciting season. So just to give you a quick idea of an agenda that I set, I've already gone through kind of the introduction and the current events here of what's going on. So that's pretty much where we're at. And we know that our partner team, Leon, is with us in this server. And we're just trying to get an idea who else may be on this server. Some other old friends I learned from that I played with slash against in season 2 are also on this server playing Erebor. So shout outs to my buddy Andre and our good old friend the Bowler. If any of you guys are watching this, hope you're doing well. And excited because we're reunited with our old friends X and Sam Spade and Alex Carr and those guys for this season as well. We played season 2, 4 with them. We diverged for seasons 3 and 5. And so it should be a really good season, and we're looking forward to it. Now, in terms of preparation for the season, there has been a lot of talk about what we want to do this season. Having already played the Tactics Evolved campaign, we have a good idea now of what we want to do in terms of using these elite skills and how we want to gear and leverage our commanders. So let me dive right into it because this is going to be a long conversation. All right. Essentially, I have 8 commanders that I'm planning to be using at the onset of this season, and I think they'll pretty much the majority of them are going to be really excellent both for PvP and PvE. One of the exceptions to that is going to be this guy, Aragorn, and I'm going to talk through all this stuff with you. So right now I have my Aragorn set up for PvP versus Darkside. I will not use Aragorn for PvE. He's going to be a commander that I'm going to be leveling through tips, through mocking, through sweeping, not so much for tile grabbing. Um, I gave him the battle axe maxed out, 5 gold stars, flay trait, so that he ignores 30% of the target's defense over the first 4 rounds. Really nice weapon. The superior hauberk for the plus 40% burn damage trait also buffs the army defense by 15, which is really nice, and gives him some more might. The blinding barrier full helm. I run the night build with Aragorn. That's why I don't really like using him for PvE. Because I hate wasting nights on anything but PvP scenario, but we'll see. And then I give him the Heath Lane, increases the army HP, might focus, that's good, and then a little heal. I usually find that this man, over 10 rounds, he usually is somewhere between 11 and 12, 12 and a half, almost 13,000 heals per battle. In terms of the skill build for him, this is your dark side battle skill. You want to have this 1 point in Sun and Moon Splendor, so you gain stun immunity against orcs and urukai. If you're fighting light side opponents, you don't want to put this point in this skill. You can reroute it to Hidden Air so that you get a little bit more skill damage out of Aragorn. You want 2 points in Hidden Air and 1 point in the Sun and Moon Splendor early for fighting dark side. And then you can later, after you've maxed out your R0 and your R3, you can start sticking more points in here just to increase his damage even more. But all of these are absolutely essential. You want the Strider so that you get 30% more stats from the equipment. You want Precise Blow since it has the Pursuit effect. You want Raid, really strong. Really like that. Anduril, really good, increases his might. It hits 2 targets, dealing 300% physical damage. You want weapons expertise to increase the commander damage another 50%. 50% chance of that. It's really good when it procs. And then, of course, Call the Weak, which is really good as well. So that's Aragorn in a nutshell. The only variation on him from a gear perspective is if I'm fighting light side, I'll take off the superior hauberk and put on a quilted armor with the focus protection. Probably the one that I have here currently on Dwalin. And I would be targeting Galadriel's since he mitigates a ton of focus damage and she does a ton of focus damage. With the night build, it's really strong because if she's coming at you with like 7,000 guards at the tower, yeah, she's going to hurt my knights real bad. She might kill 1,500 to 2,000 of my knights, but I'm going to be killing like 3,000 of her T3s. So I'll swap 3,000 dead T3s for 1,500 to 2,000 dead T2s pretty much any day. That's Aragon for you. And second, we'll be using Galadriel this season. She's a new one for me. I haven't really used her much in seasons past, although I have her at Reputation 6. I have the Carver on her that you want maxed out, where she does a 35% chance of an additional 104% focus damage. This is, of course, modified by her focus stat. I put the scale mail on her for more focus, and then I want the army defense melee, and then another 6% damage received reduction for the melee units. Just to help her tanks be tanky up front. The longer your tanky units stay alive, the longer she can fight. And then I've given her the Arnor Cask, again, for more focus and stun immunity over the first 2 rounds. Should be really good. And then this pipe, I'll level this pipe more once I get some more gold accessories. I am unwilling to sacrifice my fiddle because I love this blitz trait. And it's hard to get. Some people have been waiting seasons to get this fiddle with this trait. I'm not going to kill it yet. I'm not using it, but I'm not going to kill it. I have another pipe ready to go, so as soon as I do get a second star on this fine smoking pipe, I can level it to 2 gold stars. So we just use this for some extra healing on her, as if she needs extra healing. From a talent perspective, you want to go Mistress of Magic first, max that out so that her normal attacks cause focus damage. It also increases her focus damage by 45% at max level. You want 1 point in here for the madness to inflict madness. Later you can pop more points in there, and you want more damage through the surge. After you do 15, 7, and 1 here, you want to start swapping over to Nenya's Guardian. You want that maxed out next for an extra 30% focus, which is enormous. And then once you max it out, it increases the base stat by 15, which is also huge. After you put 15 in here, you start going to Ring of Water for the big heal. Once that's maxed out, you can kind of toggle between, if you want to increase the heal, you can put, some points in Lady Elorian. If you want to increase the defense, then you can go Magic Barrier. That's how I use her for now. I might make adjustments to this. I might take 6 points out of here and stick them somewhere else. Maybe Purity to remove debuffs, maybe White Council to mitigate damage. It's all a matter of style. So I don't use her PvP versus Darkside. I have seen Galadriel successful against Darkside PvP, and that they usually have her R10 unique item, which I don't have because she's not R10. But I will be using her PvP versus light side. She's very strong in that setting, and she's also going to be a very good tile taker for me, farmer tile taker, because she has lots of heals and stuff. So they'll help reduce the amount of units that get deaded. The other big Healy support kind of commander I'm going to be using this season, and I'm not going to be really trying to use her in a PvP setting because her gear isn't really set up for that quite yet. As you can see, she's basically got all my leftover gear, but I think she'll be a very good farming PvE player. Sorry, commander, and I'll also use her for some pathing later on. I've given her a Carver, but with the trait that mitigates damage against men units by 4.5%. I'm sorry, it doesn't mitigate damage, it deals 4.5% more damage. Sorry for misspeaking there. It also increases the base stat of attack on men units by 2, and it gives her might and focus. So that should be good. I've given her the Plate of the Citadel. It's nowhere near max, but it's something that'll hold down really well. It's got the base stats that I want her. Increases the defense of men by 14, increases the focus on the commander, and over the first 2 rounds increases all allies' defense by 5%. I've given her my leftover Trapper's Hood, more focus, more speed, more attack to ranged, and this Hysteria trait's really nice. So when that procs, it'll be good for her. And the Heath Lane for some additional healing as if she needs that. From a talent perspective, you want to go half elven first into the boon, so you get the heals and you get the buff to your men and elves. Very strong. And then you go Queen of the Reunited Kingdom for damage mitigation, and Nobility for more damage dealt to men. And Domiel for obvious reasons. It's another heal, and then once it's maxed out, you have a chance to recover HP whenever you sustain damage, which is huge. You want 1 point in the Cleansing Touch to cleanse debuffs, and Elven Blessing for even more heals. She's a super mega healer. I've seen Arwen last season do more than 100,000 healing in a battle. Absolutely enormous. So I'm going to give that a try. Next commander is going to be Dwalin. I have him set up for his PvE build right now, which is where you put points in musician, as well as relief and level-headed. So he has, the random debuff removal, extra heal, extra heal. So really good early in the season for tile taking without losing a lot of troops, especially once you get points in experienced warrior and collaboration, and then later on I'll add some more points into Doran's Blood. These 3 points are kind of floater points from a PvE perspective. You could put it in Whirlwind, you could put it in Hunt Down. I'll tinker with that. From a PvP perspective, you would take all of these points out. This is 29 points. You would reroute them over in so you can fill out the Whirlwind and the All-In. That's 10 points there out of your 29. That leaves you 19 points. 15 points go here to Warrior of the Lonely Mountain, which will increase the tankiness of your army and the negative 50% burn damage received, which is huge when you're fighting at Dark Side. And then the other points you can stick and Hunt Down here. From a gear perspective, a little bit, some things I'm doing a little differently with him. I'm going to probably be going with the twin axes, but I may shift over this Warhammer to him early. We'll see. I'll swap these around as needed because I'm not going to be using Treebeard. We'll talk through Treebeard later, but I'm not going to be using him early season. Won't use him until I have Ents. if I get ends. The quilted armor is good for him from the base stat perspective because of the might focus speed. You want that on all those things on him. Um, and the focus damage is really helpful as well. The mitigation for the focus damage. Buffing the army HP here with the bone mask, more might, more focus, and then the Cysteria will be a really good trait for him, I think, when it procs. And the drums of Moria. All these base stats are really strong in him. Not sure if it's the best trait, but it helps him move, and I appreciate that. He'll be really good for farming and tile taking early with this build. And then as the season wears on, I have found that he is really quite good in a number of settings in a PvP. He's not going to be a dominating PvPer for you, but he's very, very good, both against dark side and light side. Next, we've got my Gilly. Super strong Gilly. I love Gilly. Probably the best light side commander in the game. Finally maxed out his Elven White Knife to 5 stars. And as soon as I get one more of these bad boys, I'll get a third gold star on him, increasing the damage dealt by all elf allied units by 6%, plus the base stat attack of 6 there. Really nice. And then the High Elf Hallberg, negative 15% burn, poison, focus damage received, buffs the defense of elven units, might speed focus, all good things. The Hunter's Guide with Aegis, phenomenal. Just real point of clarification, because somebody asked me last night, this each army, does that mean it affects the enemy army? It does not affect the enemy army. It's just worded a little bit poorly, in my opinion. What this essentially means is over the first 4 rounds, each of your units in the army will have a 66.7% chance to gain stun and or madness immunity. So I've seen scenarios going around where the stun immunity procs, but the madness immunity does not for one unit. And then the opposite for another unit where the stun immunity does not proc, but the madness immunity does. And I've seen it in some situations where both proc, and in some rare instances, I've actually seen it where neither proc. And it's every round, so you have to kind of keep an eye on that until you get a 5-star gold, because then it'll be 100% chance. You just set it and leave it, but I'm not quite there yet. Still a really good helmet, and then it also buffs your ranged attack, which is really nice if you use like sentinels on him. And then the Silver Harp of Rivendell, another 6% damage to elves, more defense to elves, more might, more focus. From a build perspective on the talent side, you gotta have Kingly Kin for the 70% chance over the first 2 rounds for elves to evade all damage. And then at maxed out, it increases elven defense by another 10. Absolutely huge. And then that opens up exorbitance for you, so that it increases all your allied units damage by 14%. 1 point in the icicle for the stun. Then you want to go over to the High King. Another damage mitigation for elves, and it increases elven HP by 3 once maxed out. It's absolutely critical. Elven Leader, 25% chance to gain follow-up each round. Huge when that procs. Chaotic Retreat, lowering the defense of enemy units by 35. Base stat is also huge. And then the remainder of the points that I have, I decided instead of putting them into the Icicle tree, I like putting them into the White Council. 6 points in here to mitigate some damage, the first 3 instances of damage by 7.6%. 3 points in High Alert, that stacks with my High Elf Hallberg, 15% plus 21.4%. That gives you 36.4%. Focus, burn, and poison damage mitigation, not bad. Not as good as Aragorn Knights, but I'll take it. It's definitely impactful. And then this 1 point's kind of a floater point here. I suppose I could put it in Icicle. I could put it another one in White Council. For now, I just have it here in Champion of the Light to increase some damage if I happen to come across some orcs, Uruk-hai, or trolls. That is my Gil-galad. Love them. Aragorn, I'm sorry, Gandalf the Grey, I've kind of been toggling stuff around for him. He is really exceptional early in the season at grabbing tiles for you and taking 200s. He's good PvP setting to counter Witch Kings. Otherwise, he's not really that great. I think I've used him to some varying degree of success versus evil comms like Lurtz. And weaker comms, obviously, like when they're sending siege and stuff, he'll do really well. But if you're facing a Grima or you're facing a Sauron or a Khaldun or a gore bag, you're probably going to get smashed. And he doesn't do super well against the light side commanders either. Although using this build, I think you might be able to, do a bunch of draws, which might be better than nothing. I go with the Elven Dirk on him for the extra range damage. That'll help because I like to play him with, a tanky unit like Cataphracts, and now this season Swans up front, and then the rest will be sharpshooters or sentinels in the back, depending on what's available. The Scale Mail for Might Focus, more army defense, some stun damage immunity, might speed, and this will help since I'm going to be playing Gondor, and I usually use Katas even when I'm not playing Gondor. The defense to mounted unit will be helpful. And then the fireworks here to buff another 9% range damage. I like this over the Hunter's Mark because this affects the range unit's damage over all 10 rounds, whereas the Hunter's Mark is a 90% chance only over the first 3 rounds for those units to gain Pursuit. It's very niche. Uh, as a general, I like this one in general overall. There might be some situations where I might put this into effect, but we'll see. From a build perspective, I'm going right now with this one. If when you're fighting dark side opponents, you're going to probably want to take, these 6 points out and stick them down here, so you're doing more damage to orcs, urukai, and trolls. But for now, for PvE or to PvP versus light side, this is probably the build you're going to want. Next commander is going to be Theoden. And I have the wrong trait on this bow. When I get another Mirkwood bow, hopefully with the trait that I want, I'll swap that out because Pierce does absolutely nothing for him because he's not a damage dealing commander. But the might speed and attack to the range will be helpful when I'm running him because I'm planning on running him with swans up front with a sprinkle of cataphracts and bow knights in the back. Going for the bow knight dispersion. Focus damage mitigation, again, the might focus speed, always good base stats for Theoden. The Horseman Helm with Madness immunity, so I will be looking to use Theoden to counter heroes. I'm not sorry, not heroes, but commanders like Sauron, Grima. Should be very good. And then the Mirror's Reigns. Nowhere near maxed out yet, but it'll do the trick for now. It'll add some extra 3% healing to all my mounted units, which will stack with this center ability that you see here, his R3 Yored Leader. So basically add another 3% from the nearest range, so it'll be 48% as opposed to 45 once this is maxed out. I always kind of go with Rohirrim first because he gets some of the damage, more might, and it opens up Riding Excellence, which helps mitigate more damage received to those mounted units. And then Horsemaster is my second priority to increase their attack, increase their HP once maxed out. And then we do the Chaotic Retreat, and then I'll go to the Yord Leader, and then somewhere in there I'll throw a couple points in mounted combat, which will be very strong because it procs from the Bow Knight's Dispersion. That's that. I was looking at using this guy, but I just stripped all of his gear because I was talking with a friend about Celeborn, and it looks like I might be able to put a serviceable Celeborn out there this season. In terms of his talents, I only put 1 point in the Wise just so that I can reap the benefits of the Madness immunity. And then with the guide, he's going to be stun immune over the first 2 rounds. And then you want Pursuit so you can deal with those comms like Gorbag, Grima, and even possibly against Lightside against Gilgalots. I do 14 points in Lord of Lorien. No reason to put the 15th point in there because we don't have March Wardens playing Gondor, but I like having 7 points up here in firing formation for that 10% damage received, 10% range damage dealt buff. And then obviously this 25% chance to follow up on Elven units is huge for him. The Grey Elf, 12% chance to evade damage, all elves every round. When that procs, it's really big. And then that 12 points is just to enable 6 points in Deadeye to increase the range damage by another 18%. In terms of his gear, I've got another maxed out Elven Dirk that I'll use on him. And then this hunter skin, nowhere near maxed out, but it'll do the trick for now. It gives him some more focus, some ranged defense, and then the guard will be nice for his whatever it is that he's using to tank up front. Trapper's Hood to inflict madness, more focus, more speed, more attack to ranged, and then the harp for more focus and more damage dealt to elves. So he might be a good niche commander that you use in certain situations. Again, like I was saying, versus Grimas, versus Gorbags, versus Sauron, and versus possibly even Gilgalads because of the pursuit. Although it'll probably just get smacked by him. We'll see. I'll have to test that. Last commander we're going to talk about is Treebeard here. Like I said, I'm only going to be using him once I get some Ents, so I might swap this hammer out with for Dwalin at points. If I give up on Treebeard, then I'm going to take this massive breastplate and I'm going to stick it into the High Elf Hallberg on Gilgalad to get that to level 5. But for now, it's so good because of all the defense it brings to Ents. 20 for all units, 10 for the Ents, and then another 8 for Ents, even more. It's really good trait for this, and it's not a piece of gear you see all the time with a trait like this all the time. So I am a little hesitant to burn it right now. I just stuck the Gray Wizard hat on him. I ran him with the Trapper's Hood last season, and I think it was okay. For now, I'll use this because I'm trying to pump out more commander damage from him. So I think this will do that. And then the fiddle, more focus and then speed, and then the speed to Ents, which is really helpful because basically Ents is the slowest unit in the game. With this fiddle, you can confuse people into thinking that it's maybe just a dwarf army because dwarves are also really slow. So an enemy might think this is, a dwarf army as opposed to an ant army, which can be helpful. I love Treebeard. I used him last season successfully as a stopper commander while I was reinforcing my main commanders, and he was able to absorb usually at least 3 to 4 attacks before either getting knocked out or having to get moved to be reinforced himself. Um, I've tried all different kinds of skill builds. This is an experimental one. I have not tested this yet, but we'll see how it goes. I don't want to use contemplation because with the wizard's hat, it doesn't make sense because he won't do anything the first 2 rounds. So you only gain a benefit from the wizard's hat for round 3, which is stupid. So I'm not going to do that. But I want eldest because this is a really good attack. It has a 50% chance to inflict a stun on an enemy, extra might. So you want that to buff his attack. The vengeance is really good each round from round 5 onwards, really strong. The Fangorn is really good. It stacks. If you make it 10 rounds, then he'll hit 400 focus by the end of the fight from the stacks plus the base stat, and the heal is awesome. I skipped this for now because it's a skill that only comes into effect after round 5 again. I like the stun and everything, but I decided instead I want to experiment with this guy just to put 10 points in here to enable 5 points in here. This will reduce my army damage by 20% and the enemy's damage by 20%. I don't know if this affects Treebeard himself. I'll have to look at some reports to see if it does. Um, but this is what I'm going with for now. I don't have his R5 yet, so I can't use him with an Ents Hobbit Archers build, which is ultimately, from what I hear, where he shines. He's kind of my extra commander for later in the season, and like I said, I just use him to stop so that it gives my other commanders time to reinforce. And there was some really fun, exciting stuff that happened last season. I have another video on that. I hope you found this all to be interesting and insightful. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please leave it below. Give me a like, give me a subscribe. If you don't feel like posting it here, feel free to shoot me a message on Discord or in game. Thank you so much again for taking the time. I appreciate you, and I look forward to an exciting season 6 with my NGUP family. I will be chronicalizing this season. I'll be looking to put out a video probably at least twice a week throughout the course of the season. It may be more, it may be less. We'll see. So I thank you again, and I hope the rest of your day, night, morning, wherever in the world you may be, treats you well. Take care.